Super. Thank you. Wanted to welcome everybody here to our ownCloud Meetup. Marcus Rex, CEO and co-founder of ownCloud. This is our second meetup here, and I want to thank Maureen for helping us and helping us organize this. This is great. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
What we wanted to talk about is we'll talk a little bit about what ownCloud is, just for a very few brief minutes, and then what do we have in the new release that's coming up, I think, and then we'll show you a cool technical gadgety thing with the Raspberry Pi at the end. For us, it is pretty exciting to see so many people. I saw some faces the last time already, so this is great. Welcome back. Please make sure if you haven't signed up on this sign up thingy there, that before you leave, maybe we'll pass it around that we get everybody to sign up. I see we have even a camera recording us here. This is cool. I think for us, this type of setting that we can just get together and talk for a few minutes and be in a very interactive, question, discussion, talk about thing is extremely important for every software project. And you know that we have very strong roots in an open source project, which is the foundation to everything we do as a company. And without folks like you that are interested in ownCloud, whether it's commercial or not, a company like ours could never be where we are. So thank you for those of you who are interested or already participating or contributing. This is totally wonderful and great. Without much further ado now, I'd say, Frank, want to get started?
Sure. Thanks a lot, Marcus. I'm Frank. I am also co-founder together with Marcus of our company here, and I'm also the founder of the community project, because ownCloud existed as a community open source project before the company existed. And today I want to show a little bit about the new stuff that we do for ownCloud 7, and then of course has an interactive session with discussions. It's for me personally always the most interesting part. So as you can see here, here's our awesome new web interface for ownCloud 7. So we have here our brand new logo, the nice navigation and everything. Very beautiful new interface. No one complains? This is in fact ownCloud 1.0, yeah? No one noticed it? Yeah.
That's what we call a negative reaction test.
Yeah, exactly. So the design was done by me, right? You can see it's horrible. Okay. Okay, we actually have a nice new version now, which looks a bit better. With that. That's actually ownCloud 7, and you can see that nowadays we actually have designers and real developers and everything. So I guess I will give like a very quick introduction into what ownCloud really is. It seems that most of you know it already. Then talk a little bit about the new features, and then transition over to like an open discussion about your feedback and suggestions, what we should do in the future, what is good, what is bad. It's just exchange some ideas. I think this is most of the time really fun and interesting. Okay, so let's start with the most important thing about ownCloud, which is you can actually run it on your own machine wherever you want. So in fact, I just installed the latest build from last night here locally on this machine. I have just like a normal shell here. Don't be scared away by all this command line stuff. I basically unzipped a file on this machine, and then I opened the browser, and then I've got this screen. This is basically everything that I did. And this is the installation screen, and there is some stuff that you can actually configure. Here's like some fancy database stuff, but you can ignore it if you want. That's more if you're more familiar with server software. You can ignore it, and the only thing you really have to do is to pick a login and password. Pick a super secure password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Of course, you can already see one of the new features of ownCloud 7. Here's the password strength indicator. It already tells you that this is a bad password here. Because if I would do more stuff, then it gets better. But I can't remember that, so let's go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you click finish. And oh, I clicked on the button, sorry. I selected my MySQL database, but I have a virtual machine. And then your own cloud is installed. Congratulations. So then you have your own local Dropbox, Google Drive, SkyDrive, iCloud replacement running on your own machine. This is the key feature. You can really install it and configure it and run it really easy. We spend a lot of time to make this configuration as simple as absolutely possible. So you get this nice welcome screen where you see that you can actually install a desktop client, an Android client, an iOS client, connect it with your address book and calendar, all the stuff if you want to do that. Or you can just ignore it for now and close it and directly jump into the interface. The colors are a bit not optimal here with this projector. I'm sorry, I hope you can see everything. In real life it looks really nice.
Shall we turn off the lights, maybe?
I don't know.
It's all or nothing.
Good idea.
Better contrast.
It's all or nothing.
But it's really dark.
That's fine.
I don't know. I don't know, is it better? Yeah, a bit bad. Okay, so the first thing you notice, especially if you use older ownCloud versions, like I said, this is here the release candidate 2, the latest version of ownCloud 7. We will release this in 2 to 3 weeks. But if you used ownCloud before, an older version, you already noticed the new interface here. So everything is a lot more streamlined, more beautiful, more simplified. Actually, the complete interface here is all using Ajax. Everything is also responsive, so you can, if you have a smaller screen, it automatically rearranges itself. That it runs on phones too. So this is a complete new interface. By default, you are here, see all your files, because there's a lot of things you can do with ownCloud, manage your contacts and calendars and bookmarks and so on. But the core of ownCloud is of course managing files, same as Dropbox and Google Drive and so on. So by default, you have this view here, all files, and what you see here is basically like a file manager. You have like different folders here. You can navigate into folders. Other folders is a folder with some pictures. So it's just like a file manager. Of course, you can do a little bit more than with the files than just viewing it. This would be a bit boring. So you can, for example, share them. That's one of the key features of ownCloud. You can click on share, and then here you can type a name of a different user on the same machine, because you can actually have lots and lots of users on your personal ownCloud instance. And you can even create groups of people, and then you can share some folders and files with a group of people. That's very powerful. Or another thing you can do is share with a link. You can click here, and then you have this public link here that you can email to someone, and then this person can click on the link, and then a browser opens and you see, in this case, your photos, because I shared my photo folder. So it's like really nice feature to exchange files. And of course there are a lot more features that you can use. You can, for example, password protect this. You can allow this person to upload files. So you can say, I, for example, after this Meetup now can create on my own cloud folder, Meetup Lexington, and I can create this link and enable public upload and send this link around this group and say, hey, everybody will take some pictures, just put it into this folder. And we have a shared folder where everybody can upload and download pictures. You can, if you don't want to copy this link and send it by email, you can also type in the email address here and send it as with an email directly from inside ownCloud. But you can also say, well, look, these are my holiday pictures, vacation pictures. I want to share this with a group, but not forever, just for the next 2 days. And I can like select an expiration date and say, okay, this link automatically expires in a few days. So this is basically the sharing feature that we have here. Of course, there's more. Like if here's a PDF, for example, I can click on the PDF, and you can see that you have an embedded PDF viewer in ownCloud. So this is not the one from your browser. You can use this too, but there are some browsers where you don't have a PDF viewer, and that's because that we have an embedded one in JavaScript written here. You close this again, then I can say, let's delete the file. It's gone. You see, everything works without a refresh. It's really, really smooth new interface. But oh wow, where's my file? I can of course jump into your trash bin and look, here's the file, and can click on restore, and then jump back. You see the file is back. So it's like a trash bin. Then I have another file. Let's say I want to have a text file, demo file. I have a nice demo file. I click on the demo file, and you get an editor. So I can say, hey, edit some text here. Search something in the editor. There's even syntax highlighting for most programming languages available. You can just save it and close it. And if your text file, you can see here's a preview generated automatically from text that I just typed in. And if I edit again, sorry, click on it again. Here, save it. Close it, and then I click on it again and I delete it. So delete it and close it. And then I accidentally deleted my notes. Very, very important. I click on the file, it's gone. Luckily, ownCloud has complete versioning of every single action that you do. So you can click on versions. You can see that there are 2 different versions exist in the system. 42 seconds ago, 24 seconds ago. Even with thumbnails. In this case, it doesn't look that interesting, but depending on the file type, you can see what the actual state of the document is. You can just click on restore, and then you see that the file is restored and my content is back. And again, like everything without reloading the page, very, very smoothly. New in ownCloud, you can like sort here, or modification and size, and file types, and so on. And if you have a lot of files here in a directory, you can scroll down and you get infinite scrolling, which means the more you scroll down, the more the page loads. So not everything is loaded at once, because it can be slow if you have thousands of files in one folder. So this is basically the complete new interface, which works very nicely, I think. Another cool new features, actually made it a headline feature of the release, is something that we call server-to-server sharing. Because with the sharing I just mentioned, we had in the past 2 different ways of share files and folders with others. We can type in a name of a person on the same machine, on the same server, and this folder and file appears like in the directory with the other person, or you can send around this public link as I just mentioned. But if someone clicks on the public link, then a browser opens, and you can see the files in the browser, that's nice. But if you really, really want to collaborate on some files, then you don't really want to work in the browser, you want to work really in your file system, really natively. And because of that, we have this new feature which is called server-to-server sharing, which means that if you have a server and I have a server, I can create a folder here on my ownCloud server, name it some project that we do together, and I can send you this link as I just mentioned, and you can click on this link and the browser opens, but then you have a button where you can integrate this folder into your ownCloud, and then it appears as a normal folder in your ownCloud, even if it's in a different server. We then have now a shared folder between different machines, and everything I put into this folder shows up in the folder of the other person and the other way around. And we can still do this with permission, so we can say one person is only allowed to edit files but not delete files, or only to upload files but not create folders, and so on. or not we share it. So it's a really, really powerful concept. I mean, it all exists on file servers, in SharePoint, Dropbox can do that, but in this other scenario, this means that all the data has to be in one place. But this is the real differentiator of ownCloud, where you can put it wherever you want. Later we see a demo where you can run it on your own Raspberry Pi at home, and I can still share with you. So your photos they stay on your machine, on your Raspberry Pi, but we can work together as if we are on the same server, but we are not. So this is the first big cool new feature of ownCloud 7, server sharing. And of course another interesting feature is something that we call ownCloud documents. So because here on top you might notice there's called files and this arrow. If you click on it, you can get an overview about all kinds of other plugins. We call these apps here in the ownCloud. So here's, for example, a different app called Activity. You can click on it and you can see an activity stream about everything that happened. So there's not a lot here because I just installed this ownCloud server here, as I just showed you. But you can already see that here, look, I deleted a file, I shared something with a link, I created a demo file, I edited a file, and so on. So you have a full stream of everything that happens on your machine. You can filter it by stuff that you do, stuff that others do, that share something with you, stuff that is shared, so you can have a nice overview what pieces of your file system is actually shared with others, and so on. But what I really wanted to show you is documents, because documents is a cool new feature. I don't know if you're familiar with Google Docs, basically an online collaboration. Okay, this is really comparable to Google Docs, but it runs on your own machine. So here's an example document. You can click on it, and you get this nice editor in your browser. And you can just type in, change some stuff here. At the moment it's a bit boring because there's only one user here, that's me. But I can actually click on share, and again, share with a link, send this link to someone, and this other person can click on the link, and then suddenly we have two people on the same document and can collaborate on the same document. So really, really comparable with Google Docs. But a few key differences. First of all, again, this runs on your own machine. Right? No one has access to this data. Not Google, not someone else. That's one of the key differences. Another key difference is, if you close this here and jump back into the files, you actually see, oh wow, here's a text file. This is an ODT, Open Office file. So what I just did here, when I edited this document, this was not only in the browser. I edited a real document which sits here in my file manager. And if I have the ownCloud syncing client installed, then this file is synced down to your desktop, and it's a real file, a real document on your desktop, in your file system, on your computer. This doesn't really exist in Google Docs. Because with Google Docs you have to import files, and then you can collaboratively edit them, and then you have to export them, and then you can edit them with Word. And if you're done with editing with Word, you have to upload them again, and then you can do collaborative editing again. But here, it is actually the same file. So you can basically do collaborative editing on real files. Directly click on them, and again change them, all kinds of ways to format it. I mean, you know, the usual features, right?
Will it assign a different color for each different user?
Yeah.
Is there like a limit on the amount of users that you could have?
Not really. I mean, depending on the server, after, I don't know, 20, 30 people working on the same document, you need a little bit more power than on the server than Raspberry Pi, but there's no real limit now. I mean, realistically, if you have 100 people, then it gets a bit crowded in a document like that, but there's no real limit now. Yeah, of course you can zoom stuff. So this is very cool, and this is an ODT file here, an Open Office or LibreOffice document. A feature that we launched for ownCloud 7 is that you can actually do this with normal Word files. normal Microsoft Office Word files. We do this by converting them on the fly to this open XML format that we use for the editor and convert it back so you can edit it with your normal Office applications.
Is there an embedded spreadsheet application as well?
Not yet, no. So far it's only like a text document. In the future we will support spreadsheets and presentations. So this is a cool new feature of ownCloud 7. Another thing I want to mention is I already showed you this activity stream. There you see all the stuff that happened in your own cloud. With the new versions you can get email notifications if something happens. So there's here this settings menu here. You can click on personal. First of all I forgot to customize my own cloud a bit. First I have to type in my full name and it's saved. You see it directly saved here, so now it's my full name, not only my login name. And my actual profile picture is a bit boring. You can upload a new picture. You can also select one of the pictures that I have. Let's see if I have a picture already here.
Squirrel.
Oh, that, okay, that's not optional. What about the squirrel? Yeah, perfect. Yeah, look here, my picture. Well, I'm not sure if it's nice, but okay. So this is actually, it looks like a funny feature here, but ownCloud is actually used in companies that has like 100,000 employees. So this is very, very useful to actually find and identify features quickly, because if you jump into the documents editor again, of course, there's again the feature, the full name and the picture here. So then it gets really interesting, right? Because it's so much easier to recognize people here if you see real faces behind it. This is a useful feature. Of course, on my personal settings page, I can do a lot more. I can choose between different languages. I have lots of languages supported. I think 50 at the moment or something like that. But a new feature, cool new feature, are these email notifications. So I can say I want to get notified if something happens. So if, I don't know, if a file or folder has changed in a shared folder. So if I share a folder with someone and I want to get email notification every time someone changes something in this shared folder, because I want to track it, or someone deletes something. And I can do that, and I get nice email notifications, and I can say I want to have this hourly, or even as a weekly report or something. So that's really nice to see what's going on. Of course, in our desktop syncing client that's running on Mac, Windows, and Linux, you already get nice pop-ups if something's happened. So you get a pop-up, hey, look, there's a new file, or file changed on the server, and you can click on it, you can see, oh wow, my colleague changed the document here or there. So it's already easy to track what's going on.
What was that stream selection?
Yeah, you can choose what you want to see in the activity stream, like in this here. So for example, if you have a lot of people on the server, perhaps you don't want to see every single file change. You're only interested in important stuff. So if someone shares something with you, then I want to see. So you can select what you want to see.
What's interesting here too, guys, is that you can actually subscribe to that as an RSS feed. So if you have an RSS reader that you use on your desktop, so you can actually be notified when those types of things are happening, even if you're not in the interface.
Yeah.
Frank, is it a filter or a setting or just missed? It didn't pick up the fact that you restored the PDF.
Yeah, that's actually true. Seems that at the moment we only log that something is deleted, not that something is restored. This is definitely a good suggestion to also log that. Yeah, we should do that. Okay, then there's way more. There's our pictures app. So pictures work, because here I have a photo folder. As I said, I have 3 example photos in there. And those, because they're in one folder, our Photos app automatically detects them as one album, basically. You can click on them, and you can see the different photos. You can click on them, and can cycle through them. Nice slideshow, that's even an automatic slideshow. That's really really nice. And of course, again, you can share it. So I can, if I just come back from vacation, I import all the photos from my digital camera to my desktop, and I put them all into a folder, and that's a folder which is inside my ownCloud folder, which means our client automatically syncs them up to the folder, to the server, and then I automatically get a new album here called Vacation Pictures. You can click on them, and then hey, I want to share this with my friends and family. Click here and send around an email. They can all click on them and see my nice photos.
So, sorry, the album is by subdirectory in the photos.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There are people working on like advanced way of grouping them together, perhaps together with tagging. I mean, you mentioned tagging before. This is probably something that we could do in the future, but so far it's really based on the folder. Very easy. And then there's of course more. There's a full calendar app, and a lot of people use that to actually sync this with their phones and tablets, because they don't want to upload all the files to Google or to Apple, so they can synchronize their folders and their calendar on their home Raspberry Pi or some other machine they have. And the same with contacts. There's a full address book here, with groups, and a lot more. There's actually we actually have a web page called ownCloud.com. That's like a small app store, and we have, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 third-party apps that some people do to do all kinds of interesting features for ownCloud, and with just one click you can install and enable like additional features. And there's, as you can see, there's a lot. A video player and a video streaming or notes taking apps, RSS reader, an email app, and so on. So there are lots of extensions. Okay, let's see what else we have. Then of course we have all kinds of like more advanced back-end features. Because the interesting thing about ownCloud is that it's a very nice consumer end-user tool, but we as a company offer this to bigger enterprises, bigger organizations. So we invest a lot in like scalability, performance, integration with other authentication systems, integration with other storage backends, and so on. So with ownCloud 7, for the first time, we support a full object store integration. So we support the Swift API at the moment, here in the community edition, OpenStack API, where you can deploy ownCloud on a system that's really basically a bigger cluster that runs ownCloud. So this is very, very important for us, because as I said, this works up to, I mean, we did some performance tests for 500,000 people. So this works fine. Yeah, then we have small features like here on this admin page. It's very easy to configure your mail server. I just explained that you can send out notification emails, and you can just configure your mail server. In the past you had to do this in a config file manually. Now it's really nicely done in a graphical way. You can even send a test message to verify if everything works. We have way better detailed control about sharing permissions. So an admin can actually restrict the users and say, hey, you can only create password protected sharing links, or you are allowed to give other people upload access to this ownCloud server or not, or stuff like that. Then you can customize our mail templates. You just say here, like, you're a company and you want to have custom emails that are sent out of your own cloud servers. It's easy to customize it here. This is for the conversion, between Microsoft Words and OpenOffice documents. We have this new setting here. The server-to-server share, you can enable and disable this. So there's a lot of better control, admin control, to basically make sure that the users, they don't basically abuse your own cloud server to do something that they shouldn't do. Complete new user management. Click here, you can at the moment see only one user, that's obviously me. I'm an admin, which means I can edit the stuff, but I can create new user accounts. Get a new group here. And now I have a second user who can also use this ownCloud server. And this is like, this again scales to hundreds of thousands of users, because we have lazy loading here, we have search, we have like advanced group management, and this can be integrated into LDAP, Active Directory plugins. So this is also very scalable. And then of course the documentation, nice inline documentation for users and for administrators. And then we have the logout button.
I had one criticism of the user creation.
Please, yeah.
I noticed when you started and you logged in, and when you just created a new user, you only have to enter the password in once.
Yeah.
Which is a little atypical, right? Because usually you have to enter the password twice.
Yeah.
Because if you make a mistake, and you don't realize it.
Yeah. We ownCloud has a very, very open development process. I mean, we just talked that basically everything is discussed in the open on GitHub. And about this specific issue, we had like a discussion about, I don't know, 200 comments or something by 20 people. And a lot of people prefer the simple way, a lot of people prefer to have additional confirmations, and this is what we have at the moment.
Sure. Okay.
So I saw back in the administration panel, you can use it to send you email notifications.
Yeah.
But can you use ownCloud as like, and I also saw there's a mail plugin. Can you use ownCloud as a general mail server?
No. ownCloud is not a mail server. I mean, it depends on how you define mail server. I mean, it's not an SMTP server, definitely not, and most likely will never be an SMTP server. It might be a web interface on top of a mail server sometimes. There's even a third-party app who implements that, and there's a Roundcube plugin, and then you have a nice Gmail-style web interface here in the content area that works on top of a mail server. But I don't think we want to replace a mail server because existing mail servers are fine. Okay.
You can have folders inside of folders, I assume?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that this is a representation of your normal desktop folders. So perhaps I should demonstrate the desktop thingy client just quickly. Or do you want to show this later?
No, go ahead. Why don't we do that part,
Yeah.
and then I'll cover
Yeah.
some of the more.
I haven't configured it to work on top of this server because this is brand new, but I can just quickly show that we have a desktop syncing client. This is a Mac, obviously, right? But it runs cross-platform, Mac, Windows, Linux. And on Mac, it's just this small icon here, very comparable to what Dropbox and Google Drive do. And this keeps several folders on my local machine in sync with the server. And with Dropbox you can basically sync one folder. But with ownCloud you can actually configure to sync several folders. You can say, here these are my photo folders, I want to sync them into this photo folder here, and I want to sync my notes folder into a subfolder somewhere else, and so on. So it's more flexible. And if you go to the settings, you can just see that you have all kinds of things that are going on. Configure proxy, configure upload, download speed, very comparable with the Google. With the Google and the Dropbox plan. So this is a full file system here.
Question?
Yeah.
So I noticed the link that you had was a local machine at port 90.
Yeah, it's just my local development environment.
Let's say I have a situation where the server is on the LAN.
Yep.
A fixed machine behind a firewall, and I can access it from my laptop when I'm on the Wi-Fi or hardwired on the LAN as a 192.168 type local address.
Right.
Now I go off-site.
Yeah.
How does it adapt? Do I need to configure it with a different
Got it.
URL or DNS?
Yes. So by default, the ownCloud server tries to detect the own host name and puts it into the sharing URL. But there are some scenarios where this doesn't work. For example, if it's behind a firewall, if it's behind a reverse proxy, if there's a load balance in front of it, then the ownCloud server doesn't really know what the real URL is. And then there's a config option in the config file where you can define the real URL where this ownCloud server is reachable over the internet.
Okay.
And then this is used for all the sharing links and all the stuff that is in the emails and so on.
If I was using it in a small office or home office situation where the IP address is dynamic, depending on what the ISP, not a static one,
Right.
can the client access dynamic DNS?
Yeah, sure.
To get
The usual way to do that is to use some kind of dynamic DNS service that's then connected to your changing ISP IP, and then you use this host name in the sync client. So that's what a lot of people do like that.
That's great.
Any more questions?
The HTTPS functionality, SSL.
Yeah.
Is it happy with self-signing certs and stuff, or?
Yeah. No, that's it works perfectly well with HTTPS. A lot of people use it with self-signed certificates. With our desktop client, it shows you a pop-up that the certificate is not signed, and you can accept it. And then if you accept it, then it's fine. It's working. Yeah.
So I have a self-signed certificate for my ownCloud installation, and I noticed I couldn't get it to work on the mobile clients because it wouldn't accept the certificate, and there's no prompt to accept it anyways.
Yeah, I mean, the certificate situation is really, I'm not really sure what the issue could be. I suggest that you ask either in the forum. I know that a lot of people solved this somehow. I personally don't really know how to do it because I have a real certificate, but I know that people use it like that, so there must be a way to configure it correctly, but I don't really, I mean, are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I don't have it off the top of my head, but we certainly could, we can certainly find it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Use the self-signed service. We know we have people in the community that are actively doing it and not successful, so we'll sort it out.
I just ran into this, I think, last night, as a matter of fact. I recently changed my server to use HTTPS, and all the things that were working on my phone stopped working, and I tried to figure it out. And I think, at least for the Android phone that I have, for CalDAV client, you can, within that client, it'll allow you to upload a certificate, but you have to get it onto the phone first and then do it.
It's unfortunately nothing we can really control in ownCloud because it's more between the web server and the client. So it's unfortunately not super easy to configure the secure connection. But there are how-tos. I mean, if you look into the forum, there's a lot of people do it somehow. I don't know.